So now I'm going to turn it over to Queena. And Queena, let's hear it, girl. I'm ready. I'm ready to learn. I got my notes. We got to learn.
Well, thank you so much, Quincy, for giving us that overview on how you can be able to thrive while you are pregnant in the faster way. It is definitely possible to be in that journey of your life within starting motherhood, right? And so, as Quincy mentioned, she's pregnant, and currently I am 10 months postpartum. And how I started here into the faster way and into this lifestyle that I am now, meet me last year, right? So last year I had a plan. I was going to deliver my son, naturally, my second son. And who all knows that when you have a plan, it never works out that way, right? That plan went out the window. As soon as it was time for me to deliver my son, hours went by, specifically 12 hours went by, and the doctor said, hey, you have to have an emergency C-section. Everything changed. My world flipped upside down, and I brought home my son. He was alive. He was kicking. He was strong. But I also felt on that hospital bed, I lost myself in that moment by having that emergency C-section because I didn't recognize myself. I didn't feel like myself. I was in so much pain. But I also knew before I started into this journey of delivering my son, while I was pregnant, I wanted to breastfeed my son exclusively. My first son, who was 9 years old, I breastfed him along with formula because I didn't really know a lot of information around breastfeeding. I just did whatever I needed to do in order to make sure that he was okay. So I want to say this as well. I am an advocate of fed is best. Whether you decide to breastfeed, whether you decide to formula feed, whatever you decide to do and to make sure your child is thriving, do that, okay? There is no mommy shaming here. But I do know that with my second son, I wanted to try exclusively breastfeeding, and I wanted to try my hardest. So as he was born, he immediately latched, and that was amazing. But I also went through the journey of where he had a lip tie and a tongue tie. And if anyone is familiar with that, it makes it very difficult for the child to latch onto the nipple, which can be very painful for the mother and difficult for the child to really get as much nutrients as they need to. So we had the surgery for him, and he started to thrive with that as well. So about 4 weeks into my postpartum journey, I knew that my son was doing great, but remember, I still felt lost within myself. I didn't know really where to go. I didn't know how to get back to me. That's how I met Quincy. I saw her on Instagram. She was amazing. I loved her personality. She kept talking about the faster way. And I knew that I needed something to give me a plan, to show me what I needed to do to get back and make these fat loss goals happen for myself and gain myself back. So, and I also say this is that mental health is so important whenever you go into breastfeeding, okay? It is so important that you're not comparing yourself to Miss Susie Q that's on social media, and she might show you that, hey, she's pumping out 40 gallons of liquid gold every single day. You do not need to be like Miss Susie Q because your baby is going to require of you exactly what he or she needs, okay? So your baby might not need 40 gallons of milk. And at the end of the day, there is no competition because both children will both thrive. And I promise you, both of them are not going to be in second grade talking about who got more milk than the other. They're both thriving. They're both living, okay? So mental health is so important. You have to get yourself right. You can't compare yourself to anybody else, whether you are pumping 4 ounces during your session or you're pumping 10, that is still great, whatever your child needs during that time. So when I was going into the faster way, I started to do the research. And the first question I had was, can I still be able to do this program and still breastfeed my son? Because I didn't want to be selfish. I wanted to hit my goals, but ultimately my main goal was to feed my son exclusively. So when Quincy and another coach, Lindsay, told me, actually the creator, Amanda Trust, the CEO and creator of the Faster Way to Fat Loss, has been able to be successful with this program while she was pregnant, while she was also breastfeeding. And they let me know that there can be modifications, that there are modifications for women that are pregnant or even breastfeeding as well. That's when I knew that this program was designed for women like me. designed for women like Quincy, or even like you that might also be in that same journey as well, facet of life. So I also want to just talk about how there are a lot of myths when it comes to breastfeeding. And one of those myths that I fell into were you have to eat a certain type of food or snacks or processed foods or take pills and supplements in order to produce enough milk. And I have to tell you, that's simply not the case. Okay, so let's talk about one of the myths that I believed. Someone told me, Queena, if you eat oatmeal cream pies, you will produce a lot of milk. And I said, well, hey, I like oatmeal cream pies. When? So I went and bought a big family-sized box of oatmeal cream pies. I ate it in one day, okay? And of course, I saw a little bit of an increase in milk. It wasn't much, but also, if I had these fat loss goals, it was very counterproductive because oatmeal cream pies, of course, it contains oatmeal, which is going to help you with that milk production, but it also contains what? Sugar. A lot of added sugar that's going to contribute to the fat that you're wanting to lose as well. Another thing that people might suggest for you to take are body armor drinks, similar to drinking water. But with body armor drink, it contains a lot of added sugar. So if you're wondering, hey, I'm breastfeeding, I'm supposed to be losing all of this weight, why is it not dropping? Examine the food that you're eating. Because more than likely, 9 times out of 10, you're eating foods that are not helping you. In the Faster Way, we believe that you eat the right foods at the right times for the right reasons. So Quincy, it's so important that when we say the right foods, right, we're talking about whole food nutrition. What's whole food nutrition, Quincy?
Comes from the ground, has a mother.
Woo! Say it again, preach. Comes from the ground,
has a mother. Woo, woo, woo.
There you go. So once again, if it comes from the ground, those plants like sweet potatoes, grains, rice, or it has a mother like chicken or turkey, those are considered to be whole foods. And when you look at that and you examine that, that's how you know your body is going to respond according to what it needs, because you're giving it the proper nutrients that you don't need to take and you don't need to have in a lot of supplements or pills or oatmeal cream pies or body armor, or just eat a bunch of oatmeal. Just look at what types of foods you are eating. If they are nutritious and they are whole foods, then they will help you in order to be able to help you with your supply as well. So that's how I've been able, one, to be able to help me with my supply. Also,
I was going to say, I'm so glad you mentioned that, because that was one of the things that filled my head, you know, especially if you're a struggling mother like I was with breastfeeding, and it was my first baby. I didn't know what I was doing. I had been, like I said, to a lactation consultant, had pills prescribed, nothing was working. And I was like on Pinterest and Google, and everything was saying, eat oatmeal cream pies, you know, eat this, eat a lot of calorie dense food. And at that time, I wasn't even thinking about losing weight. I was just trying to get my milk, you know, up. And you know, Chase was like, well, I heard if, you know, I researched if you eat a lot of calorie dense food. So we had like all these snacks like you were talking about, but none of it was whole food centered. And there can be a million reasons why you don't produce milk. I may not produce it this time and eat flawlessly, but I feel like what you are putting into your body is so crucial to your supply and for you and for the nutrition that your baby is getting.
Yeah, wonderful point. And once again, if you're having a lack of supply, look at some of the things that you can be able to do immediately in your home, which is looking at what are you eating? What does that break down to, right? So when I first heard if I'm breastfeeding, that means I get to eat an extra 500 calories. So I was like, oh, that's the number one at McDonald's. Hello? But that doesn't necessarily mean that I need to fill my body with 500 calories worth of Big Macs. But what do those foods look like that fill up those calories? What are those macronutrients consumed of and broken down into? And that plays a major part, right? In terms of, are you able to hit your goals as well as still breastfeed your child at the same time? This is where a lot of people have that disconnect with that as well. Now, I also want to get to a lot of the questions that came in, Quincy, around breastfeeding and those topics that come up with them. So if you've got them, shoot them.
Girl, I got them for you. I got my own nuts and my own questions in here.
Yeah.
Okay, so this was the number one question for me, and this was the number one question for you as well. How does intermittent fasting affect your supply?
Yeah, so if you're not familiar with intermittent fasting, it's really where we ask a lot of our clients to fast for a period of time. So when everyone usually hears the word fasting, they look like a deer in headlights, right? They have to fast. Am I going to be fasting for 24 hours? What does this look like? Or I'm going to be hungry. In all actuality, fasting is not a term of a restriction or a diet per se. We consider intermittent fasting to be a eating schedule, an eating window in which you eat within a certain time period. So as a woman that is breastfeeding, I would never ask you to cut out any meals that is required for your baby to thrive. That would be crazy. What I will ask you for is to eat all of that food that we are asking for you to hit your goals within a certain time period, within a certain time frame, okay? Now, if you at any point in time that you feel as though, hey, I am struggling with meeting that requirement. So say, for example, I say that you'll fast for 16 hours and you say 16 hours is a little bit too long for me. I tell my clients all the time, I preach to them, as Quincy mentioned, it is progress, not perfection. So whether you get to 12 hours or 14 hours, listen to your body. I get that you are feeding a small child, and there are different times where, you know what, that hunger strikes. So if you have to break your fast early, you can break your fast early, but then also think about, what am I breaking my fast with? Is it with that box or that jar of a Halloween candy that's sitting to my right? Or is it with something more of nutritional value and of whole foods to hit my macro goals as well? So yes, you can definitely intermittent fast. I did that throughout my journey, starting off in the faster way as well.
Yeah, it's like you said, when you hungry, you got, you got to eat. You got to eat regardless if you're pregnant, if you're breastfeeding. You would never say miss a meal, and that's something that in the faster way we eat. Like, we like our food. We like to eat. We gonna eat good, but we know what to eat. Like you said, like, it's not the candy, it's not the McDonald's, it's that whole food nutrition.
Yeah, and even to your point, Quincy, a lot of our clients come to us severely under eating.
Absolutely.
Right? So
Absolutely.
some people might think, I'm eating, I'm eating, so what's wrong? Like, why am I not hitting my targets? The first question is, well, what are you eating? And how much are you eating? More than likely you are under eating, and you're also not eating the right food. So now your body is holding on to the food that you're giving it and storing it, and won't let it go because you will not give it the proper nutrients that it needs, and enough nutrients at that. That's why it's so important to examine your macro targets and determine exactly what you need personally as an individual.
Absolutely. Okay, the next question is, how much water should I be drinking while breastfeeding?
Yeah, so if you follow me, y'all know I love to drink a gallon of water, right? So typically to all of my clients, I recommend, there you go, you drink at least half of your body weight in ounces. So if you are 200 pounds, I would ask that you drink at least 100 ounces. Now, I get that can be very overwhelming, very intimidating for a lot of people. And once again, I reflect back to progress, not perfection, okay? So far as you are drinking to satisfy the thirst, that will definitely be doable in order to still, once again, help your supply. Water is going to help you with your milk supply. So have that jug of water, that bottled water, and continue to refill it. And then you'll start to train your body, right? After some time, your body will start to thirst for it, will want more. And that's when you will start to see that you're able to increase that water intake as well.
I know they give you a free mug at the hospital, or at least they did at mine, and that's my water jug. I walk around with that thing.
I am faithful to that. I still have it just in case. I'm like, I'm just faithful to it. I just won't let it go. That hospital jug is the bomb.
That's like your souvenir.
It is.
Okay, so the next question is, how does going gluten-free and dairy-free affect your supply?
I love this question because, especially as a woman that is wanting to breastfeed, you might hear or even think or correlate that I should drink milk in order to produce milk, right? Like, it would just make sense. But in actuality, it's not the case. You do not need to drink milk in order to produce that liquid gold for your child, right? Because actually a lot of dairy as well as gluten are highly processed foods. And those highly processed foods have an impact on how your body receives it, causing your body to have inflammatory needs around your body. And you might see that you have a lot of bloating or even gas. You could be experiencing a lot of that, right? So we do encourage in the Fast Your Way that our clients do try a dairy-free, gluten-free diet as they are going through, and then seeing how that works for you in your body and how it responds. Because we have seen that a lot of people have a lot of bloating with gluten or even dairy. So it is not a necessity while you are in the Fast Your Way and trying out the lifestyle.
And that's such a good point, Queena. Like, even I didn't think I had a gluten or dairy sensitivity, but as soon as I started like slowly taking it out, I just felt so much lighter. I felt so much better. In regards to breastfeeding, some women are actually instructed by their doctors to cut out dairy because their child cannot process it, because like you said, it's highly processed. It's got a lot of other things in it other than milk. It's got those growth hormones that, cows are pumped with. So that's such a good point. And I'm glad that you touched on that, because I know that's a question that as a coach, I get a lot too as well.
Yeah.
And so the last question we have is, what kinds of things should you pay attention to when breastfeeding doing the Fast Your Way?
Well, you definitely want to pay attention to your supply. I get it as a mother that tried out exclusively breastfeeding. Those first few months were very critical. Holding on to that milk, anything spilled. If you want to see a mother cry that's breastfeeding, spill a milk, okay? Just knock it down. She gonna cry, okay? But I will tell you that in the Fast Your Way, and as a certified coach, whoever your coach is, we will be there to assist you and asking you those questions and say, hey, how's your supply doing? We want to monitor that. And if at any point in time that you see a dip in your supply, you can never over communicate in your relationship with your coach. And that's when we would do some other modifications for you if you are seeing a dip in your supply. But I can say, personally, I know Quincy, you can also say, because I've been your client, that I have seen many of clients that have been breastfeeding and have thrived in their breastfeeding journey and still been able to continue on while practicing the strategies within the Fast Your Way as well.
Absolutely. And I have so many clients who come through and they see an increase in their supply. They're like, I'm pumping way more now. And I'm like, that's great. That's awesome. Like you said, it's liquid gold. It's like, oh, thank you, Jesus.
Girl, don't play. We don't play with it. Yeah. And then also when it comes down to considering like the modifications and everything when you are breastfeeding, is we will definitely increase your carb intake, because you can carb cycle when you are pregnant. Sometimes there are those myths that, hey, you cannot remove carbs from your diet. You actually can carb cycle. We're not going to remove it completely. We're not saying that it is no carb. We are saying that there are some days that there will be low carbs, but it won't be the same amount as Susie Q that is not breastfeeding. We will actually ask that you have 100 to 150 net carbs on your low carb days to ensure that you can be able to have that energy that you need, and also be able to pass on the milk that is needed for your baby as well. So we are not fully restricting carbs. There's just days where we're going to vary out through that carb cycle where you'll have a lower amount and then increase it up throughout the next days as well. So when we look through those modifications, and I will lastly close when it comes down to breastfeeding and starting that journey, always have a support system. Find people that are going to encourage you and tell you that you can do it, because it can be very discouraging at different points in times when it might be painful to breastfeed, or the milk might not be coming out enough from what you see, or someone is pumping out more than what you have. So it's so important that you have a support system of people that can be able to push you and let you know that you can do it, and then also have a coach that can tell you you're doing amazing and guide you along that way as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So Quincy, I know you're going to take us into our next piece as well.
Yes. So, and this is like a final wrap-up question. It's one that it kind of came as, I was like, I really want to mention this because I get this question a lot. Is specifically for me is, did you stay in VIP when you became pregnant? I feel like some women become pregnant and they're like, oh, well, if they're already in VIP, the membership with the Faster Way, they're like, oh, I might just drop my VIP. And if you're not familiar with what VIP is, if you have completed one round of the Faster Way to Fat Loss, you are eligible to join the membership. And the membership, Queena, and if I miss anything, you can fill in because it is phenomenal.
I got you.
It is the next step in your journey. You have 6 weeks with your coach, and membership is the next step. For me, when I started the Faster Way, I had a goal in mind, like weight I wanted to lose. But since joining, I have become so much more I want to be fed even more. I want to know even more about my body. I want that upper level education, and you get all of that in membership. You get upper level mentors. You have trainers you can have a one-on-one call with. So if you are struggling in an area, they can talk with you one-on-one, tweak your macros, give you action items to do. And something that has been very, very crucial to me during my pregnancy. So to answer that question, yes, staying in VIP leaving VIP was not an option for me. And I feel like there's this misconception, like, oh, she's a coach, she must, get VIP for being a coach. No, I'm a Faster Way coach and I'm still a client. We pay just like everybody else does. And just the value I get out of it, even being pregnant, has been, I feel like, one of the really key pieces to this entire pregnancy experience. Yes, there are some things I have to modify. Yes, there are some things I can't do, but I still have that support. I know if I have a question, I have upper level mentors, experts who can answer those questions for me. And since I have struggled with doing, a lot of the workouts, I have that digital studio. I can do those low impact workouts. I can do yoga. I can do bar. And even with the monthly challenges, there have been some I have not been able to participate in, like the ab challenge. I can't do the ab challenge right now. But in September, they did a Move More challenge. And Queena, I'm telling you, that came at such a perfect time for me personally, because I was like 6 months pregnant at the time, and I was starting to really feel the weight of this pregnancy, both physically and mentally. And I was kind of getting down on myself because I wasn't able to be as active. And the Move More challenge was really just like, get up and move. Like, you don't have to be doing a full-on workout. Just get your butt up and move. Walk for 5 minutes. Walk for 2 minutes. So that was a challenge I was able to do. This month is the Faster Way 5K. I signed up for it. It's 2 weeks before I have
I got mine.
I know. It's 2 weeks before I have a baby. I'm not going to be running. I will be walking it. But I wanted to sign up, one, because the funds are going to a good cause, but also because I get that meal plan. I get that schedule that's going to help me after I have this baby to reach that 5K goal again. So I have that. So yes, I feel like VIP is something that don't stop VIP. Would you just stop your journey just because you're pregnant? No, like, now more than ever, I need that support. I need that help. I need that encouragement. And even after I have the baby, they have just in VIP introduced lifestyle groups. And one of the lifestyle groups is postpartum and breastfeeding. And your girl gonna be joining it because that's my next phase of life. So it really has been beneficial and it has been helpful. And I highly recommend you joining VIP. And if you've completed a round a Faster Way, you can join right now. Get instant access and be ready to rock and roll. It is amazing. Queen is in VIP with me. I mean, it's awesome.
Yeah. Now, if you have not done a round with the Faster Way to Fat Loss, what are you waiting for? Quincy and I have our last round of the year going on and coming up. My last round starting this year will be starting in a couple of days. On Monday, we'll be starting prep week. Don't feel like you need to come with anything. We will walk you through everything. And Quincy also has a round starting on the 18th, right, Quincy?
Yes, my next and final round for the year will be November the 18th, and I'm so pumped about it. It'll be my last round as a mother of one. Like, I won't be pregnant for my next round. So.
Oh, that's awesome. So we'll put the links below as well. So if you would like to sign up for that round with Quincy or I, go ahead and click on it, register, and we'll be happy to walk you through that and get you set up before going into 2020.
Yes, and if you have gone through a round, we'll also post the VIP links in the comments below, so you can sign up for that. And honestly, guys, as we wrap up, if you have any additional questions about anything, it might not be breastfeeding, it might not be pregnancy, just in regards to the Faster Way lifestyle, please reach out. Feel free to ask your questions. I feel like it's a testament to this lifestyle that it is sustainable, it is flexible, because you have two people sitting here who are in two very different phases of life, and we are still able to sustain it, to maintain it. It's just a way of life for us now. It's second nature. It's just how we fuel our bodies, and it's the best, most efficient way for you to do so. So I'm so glad you guys joined us. I hope you found this informative and encouraging. And just, like with the Faster Way, you have women, like I said, but in the beginning, Queen and I have never met, and there's so many other coaches and clients alike who we link arms, and we're in this together, and we're there to support one another through every phase, through every struggle, through every victory. We are there to cheer you on every step of the way.
Yeah, so even just in closing with that, community is so important. I have a lot of clients that come to me and say, Queena, I've done a fitness journey alone by myself for so long. And in the Faster Way, being alone does not exist, right? You have community, you have support, you have resources. And that is the reason why people stay. That is the reason why people thrive and continue on with their behaviors and the strategies that they've learned to be able to have that sustainable fat loss goals and increase energy, and even being able to gain back that confidence they felt like they once lost. So the Faster Way is the way to go. It can be done no matter what walk of life that you are in. And it's also available for men too. So thank you guys so much for joining us. We love y'all.
We hope y'all have a great weekend. And if you're not following us on social media, make sure you're doing that. My Instagram handle is the Quincy Collective. Queena is Coach Queena. You just Queena. There ain't many Queenas out there. There's only one. There's only one true Queena, and it's this one right here.
And there's one Quincy Collective, okay? And also, if you have a friend that needs to hear this message, tag them below and let them get this resource as well.
Absolutely. All right, guys. We hope you have a great weekend. Talk to you later.
Bye.